What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another tropical forecast on now named Tropical Storm Josephine. It is now official, the 11 a.m. National Hurricane Center update here. It is blowing up in convection. We have a ton of center convection and rotation. Things really getting a lot more organized here. People doubted this storm becoming a named storm, and here we are here at 45 miles an hour. Completely skipped 40 miles an hour. So really crazy here. This could very well become a decent threat. Models now expect this to be a moderate, if not close to a strong tropical storm here. And they also show it surviving the dry and also the shear here in the future coming hours here. Before we get into the video though, please subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the post notification icon so you can show your awesome support. In this video, we're going to be looking at the timing, the cone, whether this could become a stronger system, will it fall apart, and also the most important thing, could it become a hurricane? Could it impact the U.S.? And what is the expected path? What will it do? That's what we'll be talking about all in this video. Without further ado, let's get this tropical forecast. So here's a look here at the National Hurricane Center. Here we have Tropical Storm Josephine down the tropical Atlantic, 45 miles an hour here for maximum sustained winds and central pressure of 1,005 millibars. So has dropped 2 millibars here, but there it is, the earliest J-named storm in the history of the Northern Atlantic. It was, I believe, Jose that actually was in 2005, I believe. It was August 22nd. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we beat this by a milestone, by more, around 9 days. So that's a big increase here. So there's Josephine now, a tropical storm earlier than expected. Since it didn't become a storm at 11 p.m. Eastern last night, I was thinking, okay, maybe 2 o'clock today, but there it is. Really shocked as it blew up in convection. It also blew up with wind-wise, strength-wise as well. Went from 35 to 45. So really watching out likely here, guys. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but this storm, the stronger the storm goes, the more north, the sooner that north turn is likely. The weaker the storm is, the more likely it goes west northwest, and then like that. That's how it plays out. The weaker it is, the more of a western track. The stronger it gets, the kind of sooner the northern track is. And a lot more models show a loop. And you're gonna probably think, okay, Adrian, you're crazy. It won't do a loop. Well, there's a chance that this could possibly loop around and do something like that. I know it sounds crazy, but you will see in the next couple of seconds what I mean. But that's very likely, especially if it's going to become a stronger storm, maybe a moderate, strong tropical storm, and survives the dry air, which really won't be there, just a shear, then that will increase the possibility of doing a loop. So not the potential of it doing a west-northwest turn and hitting North Carolina, that's a bit less likely. But the chance now of doing a loop, we just don't know how big that loop will be, so really watching out. But let me go and show you an example of what has happened in 2004. You guys are going to think I'm crazy, but let me show you what happened in 2004. Almost the exact same, almost track here, because this storm's right here, right now, and it's expected to go like this. So this is actually Hurricane Jeanne in 2004. Look at this. This storm was a tropical depression. It became a tropical storm. It went up to the north. It went directly. This is almost an exact scenario. This storm's going west-north. This thing's going west-northwest. Look what Jeanne did. It went west-northwest at first. And then it took a massive turn to the north. And it looped around and still hit the U.S. as a Category 3 hurricane. Not saying it's going to be that strength, but there's been multiple occasions where systems have looped around and hit the U.S. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but the more this strengthens, the more likely this loop is. The more likely the loop is, the more likely a U.S. landfall happens. So this is actually I wouldn't say a big concern, but it's a possibility that we can have a Hurricane Jeanne track here where it goes. This could be the scenario here where this could be Josephine, where it goes like this, it goes like that, loops around, and possibly heads towards Florida, maybe Georgia. Obviously, I'm not saying this is going to happen 100%. I'm just saying we've had multiple occasions where this has actually happened here. Not really with just Florida. We've had actually another storm that actually did this, but hit the Keys. Not exactly what year that was. I think it was in the 90s. Not exactly sure. I'm not positive. But this is not the only storm that has done this. So it's not the most common, but it's also not rare for this to happen here. It just how a storm reacts with the high pressure system. So this has happened before. It could happen here. Not saying it will, but I think this also has a big chance to strengthen a lot more, because if it loops, it will be in the water a lot more. And you're going to see why this could very well happen, maybe to the point where it could possibly become a Category 1 hurricane. I know I'm saying a lot of things at once. It could loop around, it could become a hurricane, blah, 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 blah. I'm just showing you the potential, the most likely outcome with Josephine. So let's go and check out now how much it has blown up in convection. So here's a look now at our new tropical storm Josephine. Look how much it has blown up in convection right there. Really interesting. This is actually something really interesting here when it came to this point. We had a very well-defined eye wall here. Extremely well-defined. Let me actually go to pink, shall we? A very well-organized, defined eye wall there. Starting to see some nice banding here, stretching to the northern part of that system there, and could very well soon wrap around like that. That could be a concern here. Obviously, there is dry air, there is some shear, but we're going to be talking about all that later in the video and seeing how that can maybe not be a big threat. That shear and dry may or may not be the death of the system. I really think this won't kill the system. May weaken a couple miles an hour, but I don't see it dying here. But look how much it's organized here. It fell apart last night. I was like, shoot, it's going through another phase, could come back, but I did not expect it to look like this when it came back. She got satellite image or true color. Actually, we cannot check that out there because Wi-Fi is going down here. So here's a look now at the satellite imagery on true color. As you see, this thing is definitely looking good with convection wise. Definitely has a new defined centered convection, which is exactly why. The reason why this storm has had multiple phases where it has fallen apart is because the shear has ripped it apart and it has to find a new center of convection. That's exactly what it's doing. You know how I showed an RI how it has some banding? Look at this. It's got some banding here like that. Maybe cushion extension like that. That could be, if it does that bottom banding, that could be a very big threat of it really organizing wise. Wouldn't really necessarily mean it's strengthening if it does that, but really showing a definite organizing. Let's go and check out now everything else. Here's the new National Hurricane Center update. As you see, there we got the tropical storm force winds. As you see, it's actually mostly all north of that low pressure system there. As you see, the National Hurricane Center does show it going up into a depression. I don't think it'll weaken like that. But you see where I'm coming from with that loop? It's going to go like this, go kind of west-northwest, then kind of go northwest, and then possibly go like this. It's too far out for the National Hurricane Center to show that because it goes up to 5 days, but there can be something like that. Something that could very well possibly happen. A lot more tracks are showing a loop. They just don't go as far enough to see how much it loops. But wherever the smallest track stops, it does still show a loop here. So I definitely see this northern turn possibly happening, especially if it's strengthening. The more it's strengthening, the more likely that turn is. I just don't see it becoming a depression. It could weaken to let's say it gets to 60 miles an hour, for example, on Saturday. I think it could weaken to maybe 50, but I don't see it going to a depression, for example. But as you see, still showing a tropical storm as Sunday, so definitely a decent storm. Obviously not moving that fast, so, it could be moving over this warm waters pretty slow. The thing is, if it's going to be moving slow, there's also that shear and dry air, just depending whether this is closed and can keep out that dry air. Dry air is definitely not the main threat. I think dry air has minimized as a threat in the past days. I really think this dry air is expected to fall apart. There's a possibility this dryer can get in a little bit, but I don't see it doing that much. I don't see this dryer getting into the point where it dies. As you see, there's that potential track though. Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas. You guys are in the cone as of now. But if it does do a loop, maybe like Gene, I think there's definitely a possibility something can happen in the southeastern coast. Obviously, it's a concern. Not 100%, not even 50% sure. But that is not out of the picture to happen, especially since it has happened pretty recently in 2004, I believe. Even I don't remember the year exactly, guys. But there was also another system that looped like that between 2004 and 2019. I know it was definitely was 2019 or 18, but let me know if you guys remember what storm that was. That was between 2004 and 2018. But let's go and check out now the tracks and also the intensity guidance here with the 11 o'clock update. Before we do that, let's check out the warm waters and why this, if it doesn't loop, it could be a bigger threat. We saw with Gene, it blew up right here. It blew up. This is actually going to be kind of almost the exact same conditions, really. It's the exact same region, basically. Look at these waters right here. 30 degrees Celsius, maybe 29 degrees Celsius. It's right here, this system, right here, over 28.5 degrees Celsius. If it goes like this, north of everything, and then does that loop, that means it will be in these warmer waters a lot longer, and that will be a big threat because it'll be over these warmer waters. Obviously, this is the area concern. This is the area concern for shear and dry air. But once it passes by that, it's an open free area right here. 30 degrees Celsius, possibly 30.5 maximum. But really, if it does loop, it will be a bigger concern strength-wise. Not U.S. impact-wise, really, but strength-wise. Obviously, people are doubting it to be a hurricane. I can understand that. But they also doubted it being a tropical storm. And look where we are now, 45 miles an hour. It jumped 10 miles an hour. You know, that's something. But really, big concerns if it loops around. But you're probably saying, what do you mean models have jumped to more of a loop? Look at this. As you see, a lot more models are showing getting to that loop point, possibly like that. You know, the thing is, will it loop all the way around, or will it kind of go like this and then like that? You know, will it do that? That's the question. They stop before we find that out. But a lot more models are showing that loop now. Or I wouldn't say loop, they're showing more of a northern turn, which could lead to a loop. So let's try to finish these models up. Maybe they show like this, a slowly but surely loop, a pretty big loop, and then to the Western Atlantic. That's a concern, and that's a possibility. Obviously not 100%, but this is kind of the cone like that where it kind of goes to the point where it goes north and then northeast. So that's a lot more models are showing that as a concern. You know how I said the more this strengthens, the more likely that loop is? Look how models are showing it, possibly getting it to 65 miles an hour. So definitely showing it strengthening a lot. We even see the potential for maybe Cat 1. That's what one or two models says. And this could be a long track system. If it does a loop, it's going to be a lot longer possibility. And as you see, a couple of models do show it kind of weakening a bit. That could be because of dry air. And then they show it back up. Strengthening. Could be a gene. This could be a gene. This could be like gene 2.0. They show it weakening here. Or they show it strengthening the next 12 hours to 60 hours. And then it gets with the dry air, and then it goes back and strengthens. That is a big concern. That's a good amount of models showing it strengthening back up. So like I said, this could weaken with the dry air and shear, just not die completely apart like people say. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it won't weaken a bit. It could weaken 5 to 10 miles an hour, depending how open it is. But after it gets past those conditions, those unfavorable conditions, it will strengthen. You can't tell me it won't strengthen with 30 degrees Celsius waters, with no shear, and rarely any dry air. You can't tell me that won't happen. But intensity guys actually for once agrees with me. They strengthen it up, weaken a little bit, then going back up. That's what they're showing. But let's go check out now what the models say. So here's a look now at the GFS here for moisture. Like a GFS does show it actually encountering some dry air in the future, but as of now, showing some decent moisture bubble there, possibly get to 1,006 millibars. But look, that's where that dry air gets kind of loops in like that. That's where I'm saying it will definitely weaken. There's without a doubt it'll weaken. I just don't see it dying completely like that because we've seen how fast this system has recovered from shear. It fell apart completely and it redeemed itself hours later. We've seen that happen 3 times. So that's why I'm saying this will definitely weaken. I just think it could recover very fast like it has done. Shear isn't a problem as of now. We're seeing less than 30 knots around it. Nothing an issue there. As you see, we will have a little shear to the north. The thing is, could not avoid it, but will it like do a little moist or like a little force field like some systems do when they push by, it kind of moves the shear around it, just like what happened with the dry air. But definitely seeing a decent amount of shear moving with the system here. As you see, possibly 30 knots there, 20 knots. As you see, there's where that low pressure is right there. You can kind of see it's kind of, as long as the shear's not over that low pressure, we are fine there. But definitely something to keep in mind, whether that shear could destroy it or not, or just make it weaken. GFS 1006 millibars there, and as you see, getting pretty much just dying apart there. That's how GFS has been showing. Let's check out the European model. Euro should possibly going a bit more of that loop around as well. Check out CMC as well. Check out the CMC showing possibly getting a decent vorticity signature, and then actually doing that loop there around. Look at that. You see what it does? It does that loop. It goes like this. You kind of see it. You can kind of see what it's doing. See? Perfect loop. That is a big concern. Also, something to monitor for the tropical Atlantic. I think we can definitely see some concerns there. So, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy that video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And bye, guys.